Hey guys, it's MrAJZilla here, coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be introducing a new series I've been wanting to do. Actually, it's not really a new series because we are actually going back to doing a older series that I did earlier, which is Fate Grand Order, but we're adding a new twist to it. So, this twist is, if you guys have ever watched like Pokemon Nuzlocke, this will be a similar concept, but instead it will be a Fate Grand Order Nuzlocke. Now, how will this work exactly? Well, I've wrote down some rules, and it's pretty simple. There is a few rules to it, but since I am the first one doing this, I had to kind of start off with the rules. So if there's any rules that you notice need refining, I can totally refine them, and we'll get back to them. So before we get into the rules, I did want to explain that we're going to be starting off with a new account, and we're going to be starting off with an account that has around 700 quartz and around 40 tickets on its own. This is called a quartz account. They sit around for a while and they gain quartz. This will give me, and also it has about, I'd say, I haven't looked at it at the moment, but it probably has around 100 golden apples. This will deal with AP problems and stuff like that for at least a long time. This just gives us a way to be able to play without having to deal with AP issues, because we're just trying to go through the main story. But it will also help me with grinding and all that as well. So, for the main rules. Number 1, any servant that dies in battle counts as dead. This means that they will be burned immediately. Mashu is an exception, which we will get into. Number 2, any area that is defeated will allow for me to get a single court roll. This means every area that's beat, I use 4 quartz and I will get a roll, no matter if it's craft essence, servant, or what. Now, this is a rule I'm adding on to it, but I don't have it in my notes. But basically, if I get a servant that I've already, used before and it's already dead, then I can roll again to get a new servant. And it will go on to this other next part of this rule. But for the rest of the rule, friend points and tickets are allowed to be used whenever. That means I can use them, since I have the 40 tickets at the beginning, that means I can just use them. And here's the rest of the rule. 210 rolls will be allowed at the beginning and end of a chapter. And as like a little part of that rule, if I do not get a single new servant from the 210 rolls, and as I am saying, as I'm adding to the court rolls as well, I will be allowed a single roll till I get a new servant. But whatever the new servant is, I must take it in. So it doesn't matter what servant it is, as long as it's new, I have to take it in and I cannot roll again. So rule number 3, I will be allowed 3 Let's Play command seals. These kind of work how they do in-game command seals wise, but there's one other twist to it. So what will they exactly do? Well, they can do one of 3 things. I can either revive all my team in a single battle, but they will technically be dead after the battle. This will exclude Mashu, of course. I can give NP to my team. So if I need to give NP to somebody, then that will be one way I do it as well. Give my NP to my team. So those kind of work exactly how the actual game command seals work. So what's the third rule, or third part of it? Well, the third part goes into the Nuzlocke rule, which is I can revive a single member after they die in battle so that they may be used for the rest of the Nuzlocke till they die again. So basically, let's say I have a gold servant and they die, then I'll be allowed to use a command seal at the beginning and revive them. And they will be able to be used again throughout the Nuzlocke. Now, I didn't put it here on my notes, but basically, I'm going to be able to get a command seal every time we beat a new chapter. So after Fuyuki, I will have 4 command seals if I didn't use a single command seal during the point of Fuyuki. So that's how it will work. Rule number 4. Any member that has died cannot be reused. Kind of goes with rule number 1, but here's where it gets into the interesting little part. This excludes Mashu, but also excludes the free servants that are given after every chapter. This will be Casterku, Kiyohime, Boudica, David, Jekyll, and Geronimo. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means, let's say I have Kiyohime before we go to France. If, for some reason, that Kiyohime dies, and I get the Kiyohime at the end of France, it will be a pseudo revival for that character, and I will be allowed to use them again. But if they die again, then they are dead. Number 5, and this is about Mashu. She will be the only servant that cannot die. Since she cannot be burned, it would make sense to give me a servant that I may rely on. This means I can use her as I please and will be allowed to use her during grinding with a support and one other servant to hinder dusting grinding. Number 6. Speaking of grinding, I must record all grinding and show if it is between sessions. It will be sped up, and any death that happens during grinding will be showcased at the beginning of a new session. So at every beginning of a new session, I'll talk about what I did during grinding session, even though you will see it, but it'll be very sped up. So it's not going to be a lot, but I will explain any characters I've leveled up, any characters that died, so on and so forth. So for number 7, I'm allowed to use any support I please. This will make things easier at the beginning, but things will begin to get harder, and this will mean that I'll have to rely less on my support as we get farther into the challenge. So it kind of gives me another leeway as well using the support. Number 8, if we are recording an event, that will be separate from the Nuzlocke rule. We won't be recording too many events, but I will highlight some of them as we go along. So like right now there's an event going on. I won't be recording that, but let's say another event gets released at some point. I can use the same account to record it, but it will not be counted as part of the Nuzlocke, and it will be in its own playlist. Number 9. This challenge will be over once we finish the End of America. After that, Camelot and other further chapters will not be a part of this Nuzlocke challenge, but will be recorded. So the final battle of this Nuzlocke will be the End of America. Now this one has a stipulation to it because I am hoping to finish this before the release of Camelot. But if it does not finish before the End of Camelot, then the End of Camelot will be the end of this Nuzlocke, because I know there will not be another chapter released for a little while after Camelot. So the final battle of it will be America up until the release of Camelot, and if we have not made it to that point already, then I will include Camelot as part of that Nuzlocke challenge. So number 10, and this is the final rule. If I run out of usable servants and no longer have any quartz to roll and no more seals to use, and also no more friend points, I didn't include that as part of the notes, but same thing, I lose the challenge. But I will still record all the way to the End of America so that I may start recording Camelot and others as they're released. So basically what I'm saying there is, if I have nothing left except for Mashu, then I lose the challenge. But I will record all the way to the End of America, at least, if, by that point, or to the record all the way to the End of Camelot, so I'll be prepared for other ones, but they won't be counted as part of the Nuzlocke, unless you guys want to see a resurgence or whatever of this afterwards. So that's all the rules, guys. Thank you for coming to this little introduction video. I know this was probably really long, but it's just a quick video to introduce all the rules and such. And I hope you guys liked the intro. If you guys liked the intro, let me know. I'm not very good at editing, so hopefully that was the decent little thing that you saw at the beginning, and that will be at the beginning of every video for this Nuzlocke. So if you guys would, please give me a subscribe so you guys can see the rest of the Nuzlocke as it's coming out. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.